Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast. I'm your host today, flying solo. Nate Weitzer on the East Coast as Josh Lander is out and about traveling. We did put up 2 game videos for you last night, though. We got Philly at Dallas and Brooklyn at Utah. Actually like the over in both games there, but my preferred bet tonight is the Sixers to win in Dallas. I'm considering a little money line parlay there for them to go over, total just 212 there. It's a 9-game slate here on Friday. That means we have tons of options here for our favorite video of the day, player props. Still going to bring it to you here as we go solo. As always, please like and subscribe to the page. And if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your local area. There's some great props to bet on tonight. And as you might expect, when you let a Celtics fan drive the show, we're going to open there with Boston, -8.5 in Detroit. For me, it's a narrative street night, taking Jaylen Brown, who was an all-star snub, and his teammate Grant Williams already starting a social media campaign to get him on the team as Kevin Durant's injury replacement. So Jaylen's going to have to back it up with his play tonight, and I would expect his usage rate to be pretty high in a very, very winnable game. Detroit is on a back-to-back here. Detroit gives up 115 points per game on back-to-backs. Still no Cade Cunningham. We don't know if Jeremy Grant's going to be good to go on a second night of a back-to-back. He's only played 2 games back from that thumb injury. And Detroit does not have a good option to defend Jaylen other than Jeremy Grant. Jaylen has 26 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game in his last 5 road games with a pretty damn high usage rate at 34.5%. It has been both him and Jason Tatum coexisting, but I would expect a little more Jaylen and a little less Jason here because of that narrative I mentioned. He's had a lot of success against Detroit as well, 26.6 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, pretty much the same numbers. So I'm angling at the 31.5 points and rebounds going over that. I don't have a problem with going over 24.5 points. You actually get better odds, though, when you put in the rebounds, and Detroit allows the second most rebounds per game on the season. They're 29th in field goal percentage. They allow the second most free throw attempts. So there's plenty of ways to get those boards for Jaylen, who I think will just have a little extra motivation on both ends of the floor. Last season when he played Detroit, he went for 28 points per game nearly on 62% field goal shooting. Give him a little higher usage rate. He had 30% usage, and the Celtics lost 2 of those 3 games. So extra motivation here. The Celtics actually have the best net rating in basketball over their last 12 games and best defensive rating as well. So as long as this stays moderately close, I think Jaylen will have enough time to get over his props. If you think that Detroit keeps it close, maybe you want to make sure Jeremy Grant is in before you hit that. But Jaylen could get 10 rebounds tonight, and the Celtics are almost certainly going to win. And if those 2 things hit, you get plus 600 at FanDuel. He did have 10 rebounds in 3 straight games earlier at the end of January. He's gone under that in 3 straight, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. That would be the player performance double I look at, but also would take the even money again on his just points and rebounds as he goes for that all-star spot. Moving on to Cleveland at Charlotte. Charlotte is a -5 right now because the Cavs have struggled without Darius Garland. He's ruled out again. So is Lauri Markkanen. That's going to be bad news for their offense, which has dipped considerably without Garland. They score 104 points per game, shoot under 30% from 3. And their defense has also lapsed lately. They're about league average in efficiency in their last 4, and they're allowing about a league average 52.7 rebounds per game. So again, I'm looking at a combined points and rebounds here for an athletic forward, Miles Bridges, who is second in line to win most improved player this year, trailing well behind Ja Morant, who's a -400 favorite. And a little bit ahead of Darius Garland, who's plus 1,100. And I'm just going to throw this out here as a non sequitur. Tyrese Maxey is plus 15,000 to win most improved player. And I mean, it's just a weird award, and you don't know what necessarily the criteria is. But if it's for a guy making the leap, Ja Morant has already made the leap. So my vote would go for Tyrese Maxey at the moment. But in any case, we're talking about Miles Bridges, who's at home against a struggling team. And in his last 7, he's averaging 20.5 points and 8.5 rebounds, playing nearly 38 minutes per game at Charlotte. So 20 points is his points prop here. Get over 19.5. Feel pretty good about that. He's averaging 22 points per game his last 4 against Cleveland, along with 8.3 rebounds on some very nice splits. And if you feel like you want to get a little more safe here with the boards, because Cleveland's thrown up a lot of bricks lately, that could certainly help you for a guy who's averaging 8.3 boards per game recently. You can get 26.5 points and rebounds at slightly worse odds there. In wins this season for Charlotte, Bridges getting 21 points per game. He's getting 18.8 in losses, and I would fully expect Charlotte to win this game. So maybe I would look at some player performance doubles as well there for Miles Bridges to get that. And now we move to the other game video we talk about, though, which has some really spicy player props. That's the way I would bet this game. I'm not really sold on either of these teams. They both, the Nets and Jazz we're talking about here, have failed to cover in 15 of their last 20 games approximately, as they routinely get overestimated. I mean, Utah really struggling without Rudy Gobert, especially on the defensive end. Also just lost Joe Ingles for the season. So I think the Nets will bounce back here after a complete dud on a back-to-back in Sacramento. They've lost 6 straight. James Harden season low, 4 points in Sacramento. He can bounce back, though, of course. In his last 3, after scoring under 20 points, he has 33, 12, and 11, 37, 10, and 11, and 26, 7, and 12, going well over his implied total of 33.5 points and assists. Those matchups were a bit more favorable against the Lakers, Spurs twice, in fact, but Utah's actually dead last in defensive efficiency in their last 3. Their defensive rating rises 13 points per 100 possessions when Rudy Gobert is out. And as I mentioned, they're missing a couple other key guys as well. Harden has no problem playing in Utah, where he averaged 34 points per game on a 36% usage rate his last 2 as a member of the Rockets. Obviously, he's carrying a lot more of an offensive load without Kevin Durant this year. His usage rate climbs from 27.3 to 32.8%. He's averaging 26 points and 10.5 assists. So again, we're clearing this number, which is 33.5 at minus 113. I like putting the assists in there, but I have no problem if you just want to go with 23.5 points, because I mean, that's within the realm of control for him. If the Nets it's desperation time. They've lost 6 straight and they're about to fall into the play-in tournament. If they don't start winning some of these road games, they got 2 left on this West Coast trip. Then they get Boston, who's red hot, and it's just they can't keep dragging their feet here waiting for Durant to come back. It's time for them to do something about it. And when it comes to Harden and Kyrie, doing something means getting buckets. That's all they know how to do. Harden also knows how to hand out dimes, though, 10.6 per game on the road. So I do like combining them more, but I have no problem with the points as well against a team that has no rim protection right now. And I would go with the other star, Donovan Mitchell, who's coming back for the first time since January 17th, was out with a concussion. He played 4 games without Gobert, kind of in that span where the Jazz have been scuffling, and scored 25.3 points with 5 assists on a 33.3% usage rate in those 4 games. That includes duds against Cleveland when they were playing top-notch defense, and at Denver, a team that, Utah and Denver know each other so well, and you're not going to get blow-up games really in Denver. But in his other 2 matchups there, he dropped 36-plus points on the Pistons and Pacers, 2 bad Eastern Conference teams. And let's face it, the Nets are a bad Eastern Conference team right now. They're 29th in defensive rating over their last 6. They're giving up 120 points per game in their last 4 road games, and their defensive rating is 118 this season when they don't have Kevin Durant. Donnie Mitchell, about 28 points per game on nice 49, 40, 88 splits in his last 6 against the Nets. His last 9 against the Eastern Conference in general, 28.5 points per game on 46, 40, 88 splits. Pretty much the exact same thing, supporting my assertion there that the Nets are not some sort of defensive juggernaut by any means. They were maybe earlier this season when they had Durant. They do not. They're also missing plenty of key guys, LaMarcus Aldridge included, Joe Harris, an underrated defender. But Donnie Mitchell, he comes back here with a implied point prop of 24.5 points at nearly even money. Josh, just speculating last night before we saw his prop up, said, I would probably set it around 28 points. So obviously, he said, I'm not a professional odds maker, but obviously you're getting a little value here according to that. I would have thought, it opened closer to 26. But he did have a couple slow games before he suffered that concussion, and he reportedly still dealing with a little bit of concussion symptoms. But this is Utah at home in a desperate spot for them. I mean, they've lost 11 of their last 13, and they certainly need to turn it around. They're going to have to do it with offense here without Gobert. And if Donnie Mitchell, who's been listed ahead of Gobert in MVP odds for years now, it doesn't make any sense because clearly Gobert's proving he's more important to this team. But if he wants to prove that he is the most important offensive player, he's going to do it tonight in a shootout, a game with a 230-point total, a game to target in player props. So that is our take for tonight. We went 3-1 last night. We're well above 500 for the week, well above 500 since 2022. And Josh will be back with us on Monday as we dive right back into a full NBA slate. Until then, happy betting.